Everything that should happen in The Boys Season 5. The 5th season of The Boys isn't just another battle between superheroes and rebels. This is the end of the series, and who knows who's going to come out on top. This season could show the complete collapse of the world as they know it. Season 4 pushed the story closer than ever to total chaos. In a world this messed up, the line between heroes and villains was already blurred, but with everything we know about Season 5 so far, it seems like that this line is about to vanish. From heroes going rogue to redemption arcs for former villains, this final season has got to have it all. Governments are losing control, society is deeply divided, and Homelander is more powerful than he has ever been before. For years, the world of The Boys has slowly been drifting toward disaster, and now that disaster feels inevitable. But if Season 5 truly is the final chapter, the story needs to go further than anything we've seen before. Because this isn't just about stopping Homelander anymore, it's about whether humanity can survive him, and more importantly, whether anyone can stop the world from turning into exactly what Homelander has always believed it should be, a place ruled by the strong. At the start of Season 5, Homelander would essentially control the country, not officially as president, not through elections or laws, but through something far more powerful, fear and influence. Millions of people adore him. They see him as a symbol of strength and security. To them, Homelander is the only person strong enough to protect them from an increasingly dangerous world. But just as many people are terrified of him, they see him as a tyrant. The governments are slowly losing the ability to challenge superheroes, and politicians walk on eggshells whenever Homelander's name is mentioned. Media networks are split between praising him and quietly warning the public about the danger he might bring. And Vought has transformed into something far bigger than a superhero company. It has become a massive machine shaping public opinion and controlling the narrative surrounding Supes. And despite all of this power, Homelander's biggest goal isn't politics, it's legacy. So everything he does now revolves around his son, Ryan. Ryan is the one person Homelander truly cares about. Ryan represents the future of and for their kind, being even stronger, even more powerful, and possibly even more unstoppable than Homelander himself. But that relationship is also incredibly dangerous. Homelander wants Ryan to see the world the same way he does. He constantly tells him that normal humans are weak, hypocritical, and undeserving of power. He tries to convince Ryan that people will always fear them and that they should embrace that. To Homelander, power is the only thing that matters. But Ryan isn't just Homelander's son. His mother believed in kindness, compassion, and humanity. And he spent time learning those values from Billy Butcher and the rest of the boys. That conflict should become the emotional core of the entire season. Ryan is caught between two completely different visions of the world, one built on fear and domination, and another built on responsibility and restraint, and if Ryan chooses Homelander's path, there might be nothing left that can stop them. Meanwhile, the boys are falling apart. For years, they have been fighting an impossible battle against superheroes who are stronger, richer, and more politically protected than they could ever hope to be. But now, the stakes are higher than ever before because Butcher is running out of time. After everything he's done with Compound Vi and Temp V, his body is deteriorating. The experiments that gave him temporary powers have left permanent damage that doctors can't fix, and even Butcher knows that the end is coming, but instead of slowing down, this knowledge makes him even more dangerous. For Butcher, Season 5 will feel like his final run, basically a suicide mission. He isn't trying to win anymore. He's trying to end the problem permanently, and he's willing to die to do it. For years, Butcher has believed that superheroes are the root of the world's corruption. To him, they are living weapons that should never have existed in the first place. And now, he has an idea that might finally solve the problem. Not just killing Homelander, but wiping out every Supe on Earth. To Butcher, this is the only way to guarantee that monsters like Homelander can never exist again. But this idea immediately divides the team. Huey Campbell still believes there has to be another way. He has seen good people with powers. He has fought alongside them, and he knows that killing every Supe would mean destroying countless innocent lives. To Huey, becoming that ruthless would make them no better than the people they're trying trying to stop. But Butcher has already crossed too many lines to go back. The deeper the season goes, the clearer it becomes that the final conflict might not just be the boys versus Homelander. It might be the boys versus Butcher too. While this internal conflict grows, another major storyline unfolds behind the scenes: the slow collapse of Vought International. For decades, Vought controlled superheroes, media, and politics with incredible precision. They created the illusion that superheroes were noble protectors, carefully hiding the chaos and corruption behind the scenes. But Homelander has grown beyond their control. Executives inside the company are beginning to realize something terrifying. If Homelander really takes the power, Vought might become irrelevant. They created him, but now he doesn't need them anymore. So the company begins planning something desperate, a secret weapon. Scientists working for Vought develop a new experimental version of Compound Phi designed specifically to target and kill superpowered individuals. Instead of creating powers, this version would destroy them. At first, the weapon is meant to be a last resort safety measure, something that could stop Homelander if he ever became completely uncontrollable. But once this weapon exists, it creates an even bigger problem. If it were released on a global scale, it could wipe out every superhuman on Earth. Suddenly, the world faces an impossible choice: tolerate the existence of dangerous godlike beings or risk a catastrophe that could destroy hundreds of thousands of lives. And as tensions rise across the world, Ryan begins to see more clearly who his father truly is. At first, he tries to understand Homelander's perspective. Homelander constantly tells him that everything he does is for their protection, that humans are selfish and violent, and that only strong leaders can prevent society from collapsing. But Ryan starts noticing something strange. Whenever Homelander talks about protecting people, he seems far more interested in controlling them. Whenever someone disagrees with him, he treats it as betrayal. And whenever anyone challenges his authority, he responds with anger instead of reason. Slowly, Ryan realizes that his father doesn't want to protect the world. He wants to rule it. This realization leads to the most important moment of the entire series. Ryan has to choose between two completely different futures. On one side is Homelander, who believes power makes them superior to everyone else. On the other side are the boys, who believe power should never place someone above humanity. Homelander pushes Ryan harder and harder, encouraging him to embrace violence and dominance. He tells him that fear is the only thing that truly controls people. But Ryan remembers something his mother once told him: that having power means having responsibility, not superiority. And that idea begins to change everything. Here's what had to happen next. As the season approaches its final episodes, the entire world spirals toward open conflict. Homelander finally decides that he no longer needs to pretend. He declares that superheroes should no longer be restricted by weak governments and fragile laws. He presents himself as the ultimate protector of the nation and begins consolidating power openly. Governments struggle to respond. Some countries try to resist. Others try to cooperate, but none of them truly know how to deal with someone as powerful as Homelander. Meanwhile, superheroes themselves begin choosing sides. Some support Homelander and his vision of a world ruled by supes. Others secretly fear him and begin looking for ways to stop him. Chaos spreads across cities as protests, violence, and political crises erupt everywhere. And in the middle of this growing storm, the boys launch their final plan. Butcher intends to release the anti-supe weapon, wiping out every superhuman, including Homelander. But Huey and the others try to stop him. They believe the solution cannot be total destruction. This conflict splits the team apart, forcing each member to confront the question they have avoided for years: how far are they willing to go to save the world? At the same time, Ryan finally confronts his father directly. For the first time in the entire series, Homelander faces someone who might actually rival his strength. But the confrontation isn't just physical, it's emotional. Ryan challenges Homelander's worldview, accusing him of turning people into enemies simply because they refuse to worship him. Homelander tries to convince Ryan that everything he has done was for them, for their future. But Ryan finally sees the truth. Homelander doesn't want a better world. He wants a world where he is untouchable, and that realization realization triggers the final battle. The ending of the series should be chaotic, tragic, and complicated, just like the show itself. Homelander loses control completely, unleashing his full power as he fights both the boys and Ryan. Cities are damaged, buildings collapse. The battle becomes a symbol of everything the world feared about superheroes. During the chaos, Butcher makes his final decision. Knowing he doesn't have long left to live, he sacrifices himself to stop the anti-soup weapon from being used on a global scale. For the first time in his life, he chooses not revenge, but restraint. His last act ensures that innocent people with powers won't die because of his hatred. Meanwhile, Ryan faces Homelander alone. Their fight is brutal and emotional, filled with anger, disappointment, and years of unresolved pain. Homelander can't understand why his own son would stand against him, but Ryan understands something his father never did. Power doesn't give someone the right to control others. In the end, Ryan needs to defeat Homelander, not as a triumphant hero, but as someone forced to stop a monster who, unfortunately, was also his father. The victory may not feel glorious. Cities will be damaged. Thousands of lives will have been ended or forever changed. Right now, the world is still questioning whether superheroes should exist at all, and they're going to get an answer in Season 5. In the aftermath, governments may begin placing strict regulations on superheroes, trying to prevent another disaster like Homelander. Vought would likely collapse under the weight of its scandals and failures, and Ryan may even disappear from the public eye, refusing to become the symbol people want him to be. Because the biggest lesson of this entire story isn't that heroes save the world. It's that the world should never have had to depend on heroes in the first place. Season 5 has the potential to become the most intense, chaotic, and emotional chapter of the entire series. As the final season, it needs to push every character to their limits and answer the biggest question the show has been asking from the very beginning. What happens when people with godlike power stop pretending to be heroes? Because whether you love him or hate him, in the end, everything will come down to Homelander. And the thought of what happens when someone like him finally stops pretending to care about humanity is truly terrifying. If you made it to the end, a like would be really appreciated, and if you enjoyed this video, there are plenty more to check out. Thank you so much for watching.